don't think he will. I hope he will.
He was the epitome of talent and competitiveness. Everyone had the feeling that his legs couldn't move back. He went forward like a tank, firing from all guns on the move, sweeping all rivals out of the way. But after the defeat, he never again showed such boxing as in the first 8 years of his career. Today we will talk about the legendary fight that buried the career of the Golden Boy Oscar de la Hoya and reveal all the details of the famous fight against Felix Trinidad. There was no one more popular than Oscar de la Hoya in the 90s. A chic story of a poor East Los Angeles guy who won the Olympics in '92 and then crushed the entire industry in a few years. Oscar destroyed rivals, and advertisers adored him for his good looks. A little more than 4 years after the start of his career, de la Hoya conquered the 4th Division welterweight. Even Manny Pacquiao didn't take championship belts so quickly. Felix Trinidad's path to greatness was different. He started boxing quite late at the age of 12, but this did not stop him from becoming the best in amateur boxing in Puerto Rico. He conquered 5 divisions and made his debut in the professional ring at just 17 years old. His striking power was so impressive that in the 19 fights leading up to the championship, only 3 fighters were able to reach the final gong. And even then, at the beginning of a career, when the fights are designed for 4 to 6 rounds.
Big left hook by Trinidad, and Vargas is stunned. Vargas is stunned and down.
Trinidad was a little Tyson. Don King simply could not help but notice such a bright fighter. For the first time, the fight between the 2 main welterweight stars was discussed in 1997. Boxers walked parallel to each other, even beat the same opponents. Everything led to their fight, and the fans demanded it here and now. The De La Hoya Trinidad fight was the first big event to marinate for so long, 2 years. All because Oscar was represented by Bob Arum and Felix was represented by Don King. Each of them beat out the most favorable conditions for the ward and himself personally. In the negotiations, Arum completely outmaneuvered King. The prize fund was distributed as follows: $21 million for Oscar and only $8 million for Trinidad. The fight was called the Fight of the Millennium. According to expectations, he lived up to such a poster. Tickets for the fight were sold out very quickly, and another 1.4 million people purchased a paid broadcast. The total revenue from ticket sales and PPV is more than $70 million. If you exclude Tyson's fights, then this was the biggest event in the history of boxing. Only 7 years later, De La Hoya broke this record, a fight against Floyd Mayweather. By September 1999, De La Hoya was the best boxer on the planet, regardless of weight category. Although everything was not going so smoothly in his performances, in the fight against Ike Carty, Oscar was literally pulled out by the judges, and in the toughest fight against Obakar, he won only in the 11th round. Trinidad was 4th in the P4P rankings, with Roy Jones and Evander Holyfield in between. Felix and Oscar went undefeated. Both were 26 years old. The bookmakers also estimated their chances equally. De La Hoya was mostly a counterpuncher, while Trinidad relied solely on punching power and constant pressure. But already the start of the fight turned out to be not the same as many predicted.
It's almost like an alarm clock. Okay, shifted. It's a combination in some cases where
Leo lands a shot, and the bell ends round 1.
Trinidad looked unusually squeezed and did not even smell of aggression. De La Hoya skillfully used this and, at the expense of speed, interrupted an opponent who simply could not keep up with him.
And each guy is trying to get comfortable.
He's landing.
Here's De La Hoya working on the inside that gets the hook around, and Trinidad.
September evening.
By the 6th round, Trinidad had big problems. His left eye was very swollen, and Oscar was comfortably leading on points. The Puerto Rican could not do anything with a nimble opponent. Even the corner of Trinidad was visibly nervous. Felix's signature left hook had no effect on De La Hoya, but Trinidad himself missed multi-hit combinations.
What the boxing fan only
10 or 12 times in the first couple of rounds.
brings up the idea of how the styles make jab and getting closer.
That was after the bell, but he was in the process of throwing a punch. Mid to 7 rounds of the fight, I think, in the last round. 3 or 4 through just grazed the chin of Tito. 1 or 2 punches like that.
Until the 9th round, no one had any doubts about the winner. But it was from this segment that something unimaginable began to happen in the ring. De La Hoya suddenly stopped. He not only completely forgot about attacking actions, but also began to frankly back away and run away from Trinidad. You can't attribute this to fatigue. Oscar was in amazing shape, and the pace of the battle was not at all cosmic. Felix, due to pressure and greater activity, took the championship rounds. This turned out to be the decisive factor. One referee gave a draw, and the other 2 narrowly gave the victory to Trinidad, who inflicted the first defeat of De La Hoya's career. The decision is more than controversial. An independent judge of the HBO channel counted a draw, and the fans were divided into 2 camps. Part was sure that Trinidad deservedly won, while the other stated that Oscar was robbed. Trinidad immediately expressed readiness to give Oscar a rematch, but this did not happen. De La Hoya stayed at welterweight and Trinidad rushed to conquer new divisions, the first middle and middle, which seems to have been a mistake. He became the world champion there, won several bright victories, but very quickly his career began to decline. After a crushing defeat from Bernard Hopkins, Trinidad tried to return. It did not work out. De La Hoya also became a light middleweight and middleweight champion, but never again showed such boxing as in the first 8 years of his career. What happened that evening is hard to say, but after that, Oscar fought exclusively in money fights, finally burying his career. 2 fights against Shane Mosley, Bernard Hopkins, Fernando Vargas, Floyd Mayweather, and Manny Pacquiao.